Hey, what's up? My name is Tiffany Del Real, and today I'm going to be talking about why the 1986 film Pretty in Pink is still popular in today's pop culture. I was going to try to keep this video not too long, but if I get started on talking about Pretty in Pink, it might be a long video, so my bad. But first, let me talk a little bit about what the 1986 film Pretty in Pink is all about. Pretty in Pink is a romantic coming of age drama directed by Howard Deutch. The story follows Andy, an intelligent and independent high school girl from a working class background who falls for a popular and wealthy guy at school named Blaine. Blaine?
Blaine? His name is Blaine? Oh, that's a major appliance. That's not a name.
And unfortunately, their relationship ends up facing obstacles due to their very different social circles. The film explores themes of differences in social classes, self-respect, and staying true to who you are. That being said, I am now going to talk about why Pretty in Pink is still relevant and popular in today's pop culture, at least to me. Today, I have 5 explanations for this theory, which include the film's aesthetics, its relatability, the forbidden romance between rich and humble people, which is kind of giving like Romeo and Juliet if you ask me, the fascination of 1980s youth culture, and last but not least, the little things yet big things that some people may not even realize that they love, which include the movie's cinematography and visual quality. Okay, time to start rambling. First, today's world is big on aesthetics, especially on social media. We've heard of coquettes, Y2K, baddie aesthetic, soft girl aesthetic, vintage aesthetic, minimalist aesthetic, maximalist aesthetic. The list goes on. A lot of people will associate themselves with one or multiple aesthetics out there and engage with people, movies, songs, and things of that nature that relate to their vibe. With the idea of various styles having their own spotlight in the world through like social media, people, etc., it makes sense that people will also cling on to movies that showcase things that are very similar to themselves and their vibe or vibes. Some of us have a lot of different vibes, and I feel that same. One thing about Pretty in Pink is that it has a few different aesthetics rolled into one movie. So I feel like people cling to that movie because they're either like relating to it or they're just simply interested in those aesthetics. The movie itself falls into vintage core because of the vintage clothing that we do not as a whole relate to today. In theme with that, the movie also gives like a thrifty aesthetic because of the various clothes that the characters wear, and those type of clothes are things that people would look for like at thrift stores today. It's giving like DIY and punk and quirky, and I'm here for all of those styles to be shown at once. And then we have the preppy and polished clothes of Blaine, Steph, and his crew, and like it or not, they can dress pretty nice sometimes. Additionally, the movie falls into a pink color palette aesthetic, which I think a lot of people really love. So, because Pretty in Pink has many aesthetics that can be related to, I feel like that's why I see so many pictures of the movie on the app Pinterest. And just in case you don't know, Pinterest is an app where like you pin various aesthetic pictures and videos to like corresponding boards/collections, and you're just like inspired by them whenever you go back to those boards. I freaking love Pinterest, it's such a vibe. Alright, second, let's talk about the relatableness of the characters in the movie. Is relatableness a word? All of the characters have qualities that many can understand, whether we relate to them personally or we've just come across people that are similar to these characters. Andy, for example, is shy yet still brave. For example, she tries a new relationship out that many don't dare to do, dating a rich guy who hangs out with pretty shallow people, in comparison to herself who is kind, humble, and minds her freaking business. And because of that, she has to deal with challenges that others around her and Blaine inflict on the two of them because they can't stand the relationship.
You're gonna go out with this guy? I mean, is this like a date or something?
Told you it wasn't gonna work, you know. The girl was, is, and will always be nada.
But even before Andy started dating Blaine, she was already getting bullied at school, and whether or not someone has gotten bullied before, I think we've all had someone be mean to us before. So I think most of us can kind of understand, at least in some way, how she felt. And then we have Andy's bestie, Ducky. Ducky is Andy's quirky, loyal, and funny friend. He takes risks with his fashion sense, he stands up for Andy, and he has a sense of humor and a sense of trouble. But in addition to that, he too gets picked on like Andy. He's an outcast too, so that's probably in a way why Andy and him are good friends.
Yo, man, next time I'll kick your ass. That'll be that. I'm just kidding. It's a joke.
Okay, now let's talk about Blaine.
How you doing?
His name is Blaine?
Blaine? His name is Blaine?
While Blaine is very different from me, as he is very different from a lot of people, with having money and being popular in school, I was not popular in school. I can still relate to him in some ways. He has an introverted persona and is generally nice like Andy. But sometimes if he wants something that is unexpected for someone like him, he goes for it. And that something or someone is Andy. I think a lot of us have liked someone or something that didn't seem expected of us, and some of us have even went for it. But unfortunately, he begins to change his mind because of the fear of what would happen to him if his family and friends just really couldn't stand him and Andy dating. And although that's a cowardly move to start ignoring Andy, I do understand that it is tempting to run away from a challenge. So while Blaine can be brave to try something new, he can also contradict his actions. But you know what? Thankfully, everything works out in the end. And spoiler alert, they end up together. They live happily ever after. And as far as Steph goes, there is nothing relatable about him. Don't get me started on how he's the villain of the movie and he's just jealous because his bestie Blaine got Andy and not him.
Who you got with you here, Blaine?
But if I had to say one relatable thing about him, it would be that he's kind of funny sometimes, and I'd like to think I'm funny too sometimes, so same.
See you guys later. Oh, you look ravishing.
And that's about it because I'm not a villain like him. Hair change. Okay, but anyway, next on the list is the romance between the wealthy guy and the working class hero girl. The story of an outcast Andy who forms a relationship with the popular and rich guy at school, Blaine. Not only is it unusual, but it's also a very eye-catching plot because this type of romance doesn't occur in real life, or if it does, it's usually kept a secret, I think. So in a way, this movie's romance kind of gives fantasy because in a way it just doesn't seem realistic. I think some people may even see it as like a rich prince rescues a poor princess or something. And I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of us love stories like that. I mean, come on, we all love Disney princess movies. So I'm one of them for sure. I think the it's too good to be true, but I gotta see if it works out type of thoughts is what keeps us on our toes throughout the movie and even keeps us coming back to watch the story unfold again because it's just so exciting. Like, we want Andy and Blaine to somehow have an easy and just beautiful, happy relationship because that's what they deserve, right? Why should their statuses and social circles keep them apart? And of course, that bubble gets bursted by external and internal forces.
Want your little piece of low grade ass? Fine, take it. But if you do, you're not gonna have a friend. Is that right? Yeah, that's right.
So, while a story like this captures our attention while it's in its honeymoon phase, we still nevertheless want to see what happens later as the relationship begins to crumble. The serious issue of different classes struggling to or even not wanting to intermix with each other feeds this movie. And also, while their story happens in high school, this story can occur in many different phases of life and throughout the world, such as in adulthood, in the workplace, in retirement, in the United States, in India, in China. The list goes on, guys. Therefore, I think countless people have strong opinions on this matter and can even feel related to while watching the story unfold. I feel like a lot of people can see themselves dating outside of their status, but nothing ever comes of it for various reasons, like if they do try to date outside of their status. So it's nice to see a story unfold in a youthful and realistic way, yet ends with a happy ending. It's kind of giving Romeo and Juliet, except no one dies here, and it is a complete happy ending, thank God. Next, another aspect that keeps the 1980s movie still popular today is the fact that it shows 1980s youth culture, which many people, including myself, find very fascinating. The fashion was interesting because some of them would dress like put together adults while others would dress like DIY, thrifty, punk rock, quirky, you name it. And of course, some like to wear lots of pink. A lot of their clothes, at least I think for Andy and Ducky, were thrifted from thrift stores of that time. So that also makes it relevant to today, like their characters being thrifty, people being thrifty today. There's things that are still relevant today. Ooh, I'm not gonna lie though, I don't like Andy's prom dress. You just ruined Iona's like 60s prom dress. You should have left it as is. It was so cute before. Damn. Going back to the positives though, The musical choices were literally music to my ears. The song choices are mostly given like synth pop, new wave, alternative, punk rock, and they all mesh well together to just like set the vibe of the movie. The movie features songs such as Shell Shock by New Order, If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers of the Dark. Shoot, wait, I got it wrong. Okay. If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, and Pretty in Pink by the Psychedelic Furs. Period. It is very coming of age and 80s. The songs don't get old and tired like how some movie songs do, so that helps the movie age well and maintain a catchy beat. Dang, I forgot to turn my ring light on. Oops. It's on now, but dang, I'm a mess. Lastly, guys, there are things that are not necessarily in the plot of the movie, but rather in the movie's filming techniques that we love and help keep the movie still popular today. One of these being the movie's cinematography. Now, like many movies, Pretty in Pink uses many different frames, angles, sizes, and camera movements to tell its story, including the establishing shot, point of view, full shot, medium close-up, wide shot, close-up, high angle, and low angle. All of these combined manage to greatly tell a coming-of-age romance story. The cinematography ages well and can make someone come back to watch the movie again because the cinematography is done just right and doesn't push the boundaries and fail. Like say if the movie decided to include a Dutch angle shot, which I think is typically used in like action, thriller, or drama movies. If it did have an angle like that, which is unusual for a romantic film, whenever you would rewatch it or even the first time you watch it, you would immediately clock that it's kind of random. You'd be like, what is about to happen next? Is someone about to get murdered or something? In addition to the chosen frames, angles, and sizes, Pretty in Pink also utilized minimal camera movement, which is great to tell a story that can actually happen in real life, such as Pretty in Pink's plot. Movies that don't really use minimal camera movement tend to have more action in it, such as superhero movies. Pretty in Pink's camera movement typically involves static movement, unless the camera is intentionally following a character around, shifting perspective, or emphasizing a moment. For example, by using tracking movement,
I don't know if I'm emotionally ready. Everything was it really bad?
No, it was nothing bad.
Are you upset?
No, I'm not.
No, yes, you are.
pull out movement, tilt movement,
Oh, God.
and zoom movement. The camera movement works great for Pretty in Pink because it helps the viewer stay focused on character dialogue and action. So when you combine the frames, angles, sizes, and camera movements all together, we've got a match that ages well. But what completes the cinematography is the visual quality of the images in Pretty in Pink, which leads me to my next point. The second filming technique that makes this movie unforgettable is the fact that the movie has a cozy, soft, and grainy visual quality,
If you wish.
which is something that died out shortly after we hit the 21st century. Technology upgraded, and I understand that times will always improve technology, but movies that were filmed in the 20th century utilized cameras, film, and so much more that I wish were still utilized today. It's so hard for me to explain this, but I think one of my strongest ways to defend my love of older films like graininess or whatever you want to call it is that because you have to use your imagination stronger to feel like you're with the characters and all the glory of the HDness of your eyes, you are more open to letting the movie speak to you. I mean, you are putting in that work to understand and feel the movie to the max. With movies today, like being able to see the characters with no pixels or anything, or practically no pixels, and to hear their voices so crisp and clear because sound technology has evolved too, it makes you not have to use your imagination as much to feel like you are with the characters. Because it is, in theory, like supposed to already make you feel like you are with these characters because they look so real and in your face already. Therefore, what happens when you don't have to like really work for something? You become less humble and less open to learning something new or hearing something out, like a new story in the case of movies. So, with that being said, I think our minds like a little challenge more than we think they do. Does that make sense? Hey, I tried. Bring back old film visual quality. I did some research and wasn't able to find the specific camera make and model that was used to film Pretty in Pink, but I believe that it was filmed using 35mm film, which I believe a lot of movies used in those days. I think a lot of movies, or most if not all movies today, are filmed digitally because it's cheaper. Who cares, guys? Stop being cheap. No, I'm just playing. So, Pretty in Pink's cinematography and visual quality, in combination with the plot, help keep the movie still popular today. Because the cinematography was not over the top for a coming of age romance story, but still engaging enough to keep the viewer's attention. It aged well. And the soft, grainy visuals make the movie more cozy, pleasing to the eye, and holds the attention of many people more than movies today. Alright, y'all, that is it for my speech today on why Pretty in Pink is still relevant in today's pop culture, at least in my personal opinion. The film's forbidden romance between rich and working class people, the relatability, the film's aesthetics, the 1980s youth culture, and last but not least, the film's cinematography and visual quality all help keep the movie still popular today. Maybe even ultimately what is going to make someone come back to the movie is if they're an old soul, like me. I personally am, so all of the things that I mentioned earlier, the fact that I'm an old soul, and in combination with watching this movie so much while growing up with my family, who are all old souls too, are what make Pretty in Pink such a timeless movie in my heart. Thank you so much for watching to those of you who watched this video today, and let me know if you relate to the things I said today, or if not, let me know your opinions about Pretty in Pink. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night, and as always, peace out!